listening to BLRX Radio. Ah, yes. The sweet sounds of smooth jazz. It's been 3 hours since the start of the broadcast, and as expected, no signs of a response. But I won't lose hope. I knew going into this that this might be a lost cause. And to expect results on the first day would be ridiculous, right? But, just to make sure that if someone does tune in, they do hear an actual Tropican talking, I wrote up something to read. Man, I'm glad that no one's actually listening to this. Although interactions with various humans at the grocery store are anxiety-inducing to a Tropican with self-diagnosed RSD, or rejection-sensitive dysphoria, most are pleasant experiences. The elderly gentleman behind the fish counter cracks standard template jokes, allowing for simple scripted responses. The methodologies of the joke, focusing on self-depreciation, to invoke a sense of humility and bring some unwanted humor into the lives of those held hostage, waiting for the requested fish to be wrapped in those wrinkly, arthritis-plagued hands, and delivered with a wink. The bakery, usually filled with the indifferent, once hopeful and blissfully ignorant beings, filled with a passion for baking long since distilled, husks of human beings longing for the next episode of the ever-glamorous Cake Boss. But unlike the various interactions of those at a register, pharmacy, fish market, or bakery, perhaps the most sinister of all is one that requires no words or interaction outside of courtesy. The judgmental, ever-watching eyes of the sushi department. Having just received a raise at Merbolo Industries where I work as an engineer, I figured a celebration was in order. Being as I live alone, long since moved out from my foster parents' home, it would be a solo sushi party. Approaching the sushi department, I try to have a mental checklist of what I'm looking for. If I am efficient and tactical, I can get in and out without even having to make eye contact. Unfortunately, that night was not one of them. I lingered too long between two massive sushi platters, weighing my options, min-maxing the quality, quantity, and price. The sushi chef and I make eye contact, and we both smile and give each other an acknowledging nod. But that is when the trouble starts, the clock now ticking against me. Now that a connection has been established, if I was not decisive now, a communication, a dialogue would surely ensue. I look at the tuna, sweat now dripping down my brow. The rolls, hands turning clammy. I see her start to walk towards the counter. Now in a panic, I grab both party packs and a singular pair of chopsticks. A clear indication of my gluttony. The eyes of the judgmental sushi chef finally having something to sink their fangs into. She simply smirks and says in a sickly sweet tone, "Thank you." Now granted, the sushi lady is not inherently evil. The sadist of a grocery store manager, CEO, or maybe the Department of Live Social Experimentation that thought this was a good idea are the ones that devised this capitalistic interaction to push more fish wrapped in rice and seaweed. Unbeknownst, or maybe a willing participant, the sushi chef is a victim too. They made that sushi put on display, and those who walk by, browse, and walk away might as well spit on the chef themselves. The sushi chef is held captive in an unseen cage only visible by the boundaries of the sushi counter, forced to watch as their work is critically judged by consumers. That, in and of itself, is a lower layer unmentioned in Dante's Inferno. Aren't we all just forced to try and get along as the capitalistic lizardmen that occupy the 1% dictate how we should interact and live our lives? And that was called the Judgmental Sushi Chef. Sushi Chef. Yeah, it's really hard to say. Let's see. We already played freeform jazz. What other music is there? How about this? How about 48 hours of punk Hanukkah? And you are listening to BLRX Radio. 98477-236.2 ZM.